Paris has always been hailed as the city of light, the city of love, a hub of culture style and enduring allure. The Eiffel Tower glows like a lighthouse. The Seine meanders past picturesque lanes and millions arrive, chasing passion and marvel. Yet there exists a different Paris one concealed right before our eyes. Beneath overpasses and entryways and beside chilly pavements, thousands battle every evening for heat and security. These represent existences at the brink, individuals depleting their hours and choices, their hardships emerging, mere paces from the globe's most revered icons. What does this reveal concerning us in contemporary civilizations when even the grandest urban centers fail to house their residents?
Je suis obligé de rentrer dedans pour aller chercher ma caillasse. Parce que les chauffeurs de taxi, ils me jettent des pièces comme ça. Mais les pièces, elles tombent dans le trou.
The hidden struggle homelessness in Paris. Per the authorized Night of Solidarity study performed in January 2025, 3,507 folks were identified residing in housing throughout Paris. During one evening, a grim signal of the urban center's persistent homelessness emergency. Even though the locale's worldwide acclaim for its loveliness and artistic bounty, these folks devote their evenings gathered below spans next to the Seine and inside improvised refuges mostly unnoticed by the sightseers who rush toward its legendary sights. The tally of homeless in Paris stands beyond a lone datum. It signifies a profound communal concern that has continued regardless of France's solid welfare safeguards. Inside a metropolis renowned for its refinement, where the Eiffel Tower glimmers above gleaming boulevards, asylums continue jammed to excess, and shared venues regularly shoulder the load of this disregarded populace. The disparity amid the magnificence of Parisian structures and the realities of those lacking dwellings could scarcely be keener. How many among us actually perceive the subdued misery tucked merely beyond vision, those who slumber where passers-by tread past? This emergency stands far from conceptual. It stands intimate. The homeless comprise households featuring little ones, aged persons, and those that, owing to conditions or habit, see themselves ensnared in a pattern of relocation. Their ordeals arise not from solitary defects, but from a framework that, though thriving, has been overlooked to include its most exposed residents. While we contemplate this imbalance, the query endures. Does the allure of a metropolis genuinely manifest in its power to safeguard its most tenuous constituents? Substance abuse, a barrier to stability. Drug consumption represents a significant problem within the unhoused community in Paris, as research shows that from 30 to 40% of folks lacking stable homes battle alcohol or substance reliance.
Je me fais Rambert de Bourpif, à la vôtre. Et ça me tient chaud, ça me remonte le moral et ça me fait que j'oublie.
Such dependency serves as both a cause and an outcome of being without housing. For numerous people, drugs offer a short-term reprieve from the tough conditions of street existence, be it dulling mental anguish, easing bodily chill, or a quick spell of solace amid a realm that frequently seems barren of optimism. The impacts of drug consumption on the unhoused prove dire. Such folks already face fragility owing to their absence of secure dwellings, and drug reliance merely intensifies their unstable state. Dependency may heighten exposure to grave medical conditions, like ongoing ailments, contagious sicknesses, and wounds. It further subjects them to heightened chances of assault, whether from fellow unhoused persons or everyday citizens. Sadly, fatal overdoses within unhoused folks are climbing a bitter queue of the way dependency might strip lives away under the cruelest of conditions. Furthermore, dependency renders it tougher still for folks to obtain the aid required to break free from being unhoused. It forms an obstacle to obtaining secure lodging and landing jobs, dual essential supports for rejoining community life. Rather than progressing those impacted by dependency, see themselves mired in a destructive loop, their dependency complicating the search for fixes and their unhoused status complicating the path to sobriety. Communal areas turn into their sole sanctuary, frequently locking them into a perpetual spiral of hopelessness. Does it seem just to fault persons for their drug consumption when it so frequently stems from their unhoused condition? Dependency seldom amounts to an easy decision. It constitutes an intricate reaction to injury difficulty and seclusion. Still, all too frequently, culture regards dependency as an individual shortcoming instead of an indicator of wider structural problems. This circumstance holds no exclusivity to Paris. In the United States, when people talk about homeless in America, the discussion typically revolves around opioid misuse, persistent drunkenness, and various types of dependency that ensnare persons in a pattern of want and ostracism. Although the details of dependency might vary across nations, the core battles stay identical. The personal agony we witness along Paris's roadways, those bedding down in temporary camps or havens, amounts not to an ethical lapse by persons, but a mirror of the culture that has neglected to provide the assistance they urgently require. It amounts not merely to a matter of individual selection, but of communal obligation. Why homelessness persists in Paris. The homelessness emergency in Paris, similar to numerous big urban areas, globally stems from profound foundational challenges. Central to the concern lies a surging expense of existence as residence costs climb quicker than numerous folks can manage. The shortage of budget-friendly lodging choices has rendered securing a fixed residence almost unattainable for vast portions of the populace. Within the Île-de-France area, Paris's home base, close to 50% of the nation's unhoused residents cluster there, underscoring the fierce rivalry for dwellings in the hub. While need for residences surpasses availability, those least protected end up abandoned. Yet this concern extends beyond mere shelter. It worsens through elements like financial strain, psychological battles, and the obstacles confronting newcomers seeking to establish roots in an unfamiliar territory. Over the past few years, while the urban center is ready for key international occasions, such as the Olympics, officials have enacted tactics, including deterrent designs, cement walls, and awkward seats aimed at stopping folks from resting outdoors. Instead of addressing the core drivers of lacking homes, such tactics simply seek to brush the concern from sight, concealing it from communal gaze. What occurs when culture pours more into masking its troubles than into resolving them? Does that constitute true advancement or merely a short-term patch for a profound, unsettled concern? This pattern holds no speciality to Paris. In America, the elements fueling homelessness frequently encompass bloated medical expenses, flat paychecks, and the ruinous opioid emergency. However, an extra dimension marks this emergency in the U.S., a legacy of widespread imprisonment, an absence of broad welfare protections, and disjointed aid networks that neglect to deliver lasting remedies. Precisely as in Paris, it amounts not to an instance of individual defeat or bad decisions. It arises from institutional collapse. Across both locales lacking homes spotlights a sharp inconsistency. In Paris, the grace of its ancient thoroughfares, its eateries and landmarks, fails to wipe away the truth of the persons compelled to bed down on icy walkways. In America, riches and plenty frequently stroll alongside whole neighborhoods laboring to secure steady shelter. Such urban centers might gleam with illumination and assurances, yet within their shades, individuals endure. And the query we ought to pose to ourselves remains, if we possess the resources to construct such splendor, why do we abandon countless souls? The French government's response. The French administration has definitely not overlooked the escalating emergency of lacking homes. As the country's hub and an international artistic hub, Paris has experienced mounting demands to devise answers, particularly as the 2024 Olympics draws worldwide focus to the concern. To counter, the administration has taken steps to broaden its refugee system and embrace the housing-first approach, which emphasizes delivering fixed lodging prior to handling other matters like jobs or dependency. Initiatives such as Un Chez Soi, d'abord have been introduced aiming at persons facing psychological health or drug misuse difficulties by offering both residences and vital aid programs. Still, these steps, although well-meant, have proven sluggish and inconsistent in their rollout. The budget devoted to lacking homes stays insufficient, and the collaboration among regional and federal officials remains frequently disjointed. The need for low-cost residences in Paris keeps far exceeding availability, as refuges often hit maximum occupancy and reject folks. Consequently, numerous persons and households end up sans proper refuge, particularly during cold seasons, as relief organizations alert about the dangers of frostbite. Despite France's strong social services framework, it appears overburdened by the magnitude and intricacy of lacking homes in today's world. Even more troubling, though, stands the view that certain efforts have leaned more toward appearance than impact. Ahead of the Olympics, officials dismantled various unhoused sites, placing obstacles and cement slabs beneath spans to stop folks from coming back to those areas. Although these steps might have emptied the avenues briefly, they achieved zilch to confront the fundamental drivers of lacking homes. Actually, those strategies might merely function to shove the concern deeper into obscurity, rendering it less noticeable, yet no less actual. To plenty of U.S. citizens, this amounts to a recognizable annoyance. The picture of camp clearances, usually portrayed as attempts to guarantee community security or city improvement, proves far too routine. However, just as in Paris, such efforts seldom arrive paired with the required residences or programs to supply enduring fixes. The core problems stay unaddressed, and thus the pattern of lacking homes persists. Paris versus Washington, a global crisis. As we contrast Paris and Washington, D.C., certain parallels and contrasts emerge distinctly. Each urban center gains fame for its landmarks and governmental influence, with imposing structures and emblems of command position mere paces from society's frailest constituents. By the start of 2025, Washington, D.C. counted more than 5,100 unhoused persons, signaling a slight drop compared to the year before. Such decline stemmed in part from initiatives providing rental subsidies and interim lodgings, yet the challenge remains distant from resolution. Across the U.S., lacking homes frequently suffers from the nation's centralized structure and partisan conflicts. Washington, D.C. functions via a blend of municipal initiatives and national supervision, which at times collaborates smoothly, though occasionally breeds friction. The locale has broadened refuge capacity, incorporated additional crisis cots, and experimented with fresh tactics to swiftly shift folks towards secure residences. Nonetheless, such endeavors got eclipsed by a far more divisive tactic. During President Trump's tenure, the national authorities seized firmer grip on security measures in the area, deploying militia units and police forces to dismantle unhoused camps. Whole stretches of shelters got removed, conveying a sharp signal Washington refused to abide evident indigence. To certain observers, this seemed akin to progress in reclaiming structure. Still, numerous supporters contended it amounted merely to relocation instead of an authentic remedy. Where did the residents head in numerous instances? They got shoved toward fresh zones, certain riskier, or toward refugees they distrusted. Detractors caution that this forceful method undermines enduring advancement by eroding the confidence unhoused folks place in the exact programs meant to assist them. Paris refrained from deploying armed personnel, yet its strategy prior to the Olympics echoed a comparable motif, tidying the avenues absent, confronting the profounder troubles. Each city confronts an identical hurdle, namely preserving their status as worldwide hubs amid grappling with communal disparity directly at their thresholds. Moreover, each underscores that merely purging the roadways fails to mend the dilemma. What France can learn from America. Might France draw insights from America's strategy for addressing homelessness, despite its shortcomings? The response proves intricate. The United States has experimented with diverse tactics to combat homelessness, achieving certain victories. Initiatives that allocate resources to quick rehoming collaborations across government and business entities, and the gathering of information to track advancement have demonstrated potential. Washington, D.C.'s modest reduction in homelessness stems from rental subsidies and assistance programs collaborating effectively. France might benefit from this model, broadening its Housing First initiative and integrating improved medical care options, especially for psychological well-being and substance reliance in tandem with secure residences. Yet certain teachings warrant careful consideration. The forceful dismantling of unhoused sites in Washington might have earned backing from certain quarters, yet it seldom yields enduring remedies. Such measures threaten to penalize indigents viewing homelessness as a nuisance, instead of confronting it as a communal concern. France needs to steer clear of this tactic. Rather than concentrating solely on the prominence of homelessness, it should aim to safeguard both community security and personal respect, making certain that attempts to tidy the avenues fail to deprive persons of their fundamental entitlements. The true teaching lies in the fact that homelessness signifies far beyond merely a matter of shelter. It serves as a reflection of a culture's principles. Homeless in America often means confronting the defects in a disjointed welfare framework, where financial strain and disparity continue to intensify. Although France possesses a more solid social welfare structure, even that arrangement grows strained beneath the burden of escalating financial stresses and influxes of newcomers. The inquiry for France stands plain. Will it opt to conceal homelessness or labor to eliminate it? A personal reflection on homelessness. I've journeyed to numerous spots, observed countless varied existences, yet nothing lingers in my mind like the truth of homelessness. Each shelter, each nook along the pavement shares a tale. Certain of those expressions represent former soldiers who formerly defended their nation just to get abandoned by the exact framework they battled to protect. Additional ones include moms and dads who've depleted all possibilities, currently gazing at a tomorrow that provides no way out. Moreover, there exist the youngsters, blameless souls, who lacked input regarding the situations into which they entered this world, nurtured amid want without a dwelling to return to. Being a U.S. citizen, it's simple to regard homelessness as a condition affecting strangers in remote locations. However, the reality stands that it's a shared concern for all. Whenever I gaze upon Paris, I observe the identical hardship merely cloaked beneath another banner. The expressions vary, yet the battle remains unchanged. Regarding we who've endured eras of transformation, we recognize a culture gets evaluated not via its riches or might, but through its manner of handling its frailest elements. Thus, the inquiry arises, what sort of culture do we aspire to become? A type that averts its gaze, or a kind that offers aid? The shelters I've observed in Paris and Washington represent not indicators of solitary defeat. They signify alerts of flawed structures. Such sights prompt us that affluence absent empathy proves brittle, that overlooking the frail shall ultimately overtake everyone. Such visions summon us toward involvement, not merely to sense sorrow, but to behave with mercy, to demonstrate accountability, and to reinstate honor to those requiring it above all. Conclusion. Lacking homes in Paris, similar to numerous large urban centers, globally, amounts not merely to a matter of personal adversity, it signifies a display of institutional breakdown. The locale's attractiveness and splendor fail to conceal the truth of folks residing sans refuge. The French administration's initiatives, although sincere, prove inadequate, much as the U.S. keeps grappling with its personal approaches. The expressions of lacking homes represent not unknowns, they embody ex-servicemen, moms and dads and youngsters, everyone seeking beyond mere pity. Such persons merit empathy, respect, and an opportunity to reconstruct their existences. In the end, the inquiry endures, might we, as cultures, opt to confront this emergency directly, or shall we persist in averting our gaze?